In the next few weeks, we shall see some of the genetic basis of cancer. We shall start off by looking at how cancers arise, the factors, the risk factors for cancer development, the genetic mutations, as well as some epigenetic effects that results in tumor progression. The foundation of modern cancer biology rests on one simple principle. Cancer results because of uncontrolled proliferation of cells in certain tissues of the human body. And this prevailing theory underpins most of our research into how cancers originate, as well as how we can treat cancers. So this uncontrolled proliferation is brought about by various triggers. For example, it could be something like a long-term exposure to viruses, certain types of viruses. It could be a long-term exposure to various carcinogens, chemical carcinogens. Or it could be simply age, or the inheritance of various genes that make us more susceptible to cancer. At the end, what happens is that this uncontrolled proliferation disrupts the gentle balance that overrides how a cell behaves in any tissue. So all these triggers essentially elicits three main types of responses in a cell. The cell will either decide to divide or proliferate, or differentiate, form a specialized cell, or alternatively die. A cell will be told to die. And cancer cells typically disrupt this signal, and so the cell, instead of dividing, will keep dividing instead of dying or differentiating. And this forms the fundamental basis of our understanding of cancer. What cancer is not is an infection. That means you can't get cancer from somebody else. If someone sneezes next to you, you're not going to get cancer. And the fundamental thing about cancer is that it arises from cells within your own body. It's not through some foreign invader or some foreign infection. Which leads to an interesting question. If cancers arise from within, surely all cancers, everyone should be getting cancers because it's as a result of disruption or deregulation of cell division, which means that almost every species on the planet should be getting cancer. And this is actually true. This is precisely what happens. Almost every species on the planet will develop tumors, including dinosaurs. Now, fossil records have shown that dinosaurs also develop tumors. However, there is one exception, and that is a lovely, extraordinary little rodent called the naked mole rat. Now, this species is tiny. It's less than 35 grams. It's blind. It's really ugly to look at, too. I don't think it's going to do any favors on looks. And it lives underground. But it's got an extraordinary long life. It lives for more than 30 years. And for the size of the animal, that's really, really long. And the other unique thing about this species is that so far, we have not detected its ability to form tumors at all. So that means it is resistant to cancer. So if we understand what makes this animal so unique, it will give us some idea of how we can deal with human cancers too. There is some emerging evidence to show that actually the reason why naked mole rats develop resistance to cancer is because their cells are quite unusual. What they have is something called as contact inhibition. And what that means is that contact inhibition is like an anti-cancer mechanism devised by the cells. If one cell comes too close to another cell, it will stop dividing. And in fact, cells in the naked mole rat are highly sensitive to this contact inhibition. Just two tiny little cells are enough to stop cell division in this species. So if we have a handle of understanding how cells divide in the naked mole rat, this will help us understand how cancers originate and how we can treat cancers in humans too. So the fact that cancers are found in almost all species of the planet raises an interesting question. Do you find cancer susceptibility genes in all species, And how long have they existed? Do they have a long evolutionary history, for example? And if you look through the records, you find that actually the genes that are responsible for cancer development are found all across species, ranging from Hydra right down to humans. And that means that these genes have existed through millions of years. And in fact, if you look at the research, we find that one example of a gene that is responsible for cancer, an oncogene called MYC. This oncogene MYC has existed for over 600 million years, and in fact, in 1983, Robert Weinberg proposed that actually genes that are currently responsible for cancer development have a normal functional role. So that means they are highly conserved, that means they are not lost through evolution, and they have a very important role to play in maintaining that balance between division, differentiation, and death. And this turns out to be the case. If we understand and look at these cancer susceptibility genes, we will find that most of these genes have a normal function in any cell or tissue. And it's only when this function is disrupted as a result of various extracellular, outside or external signals or internal signals that disrupts this balance that leads to cancer.